Okay, so after my last video on some general tips and tricks for Visual Studio, I said that I was going to do a video on some debugging tips and tricks for Visual Studio. This is going to be very beginner level at debugging. Um, First thing real quick, I got a really quick console application I put together, first name, last name. Made a birthday of a man turning 30 today, and quickly just spit it back out to the console. I'm gonna run that real quick so everybody can see what that's gonna look like. And there that is. Press any key to exit. The first thing I wanted to show was the quick watch window. So I'm gonna put a breakpoint on line 15. And I'm gonna start it again, let it hit that breakpoint. Quick watch. You can right click, or as you see here, Control D Q. You can get in. With quick watch you can get into it and start really delving into some of the properties of your values. I'm gonna keep this open while I have this open and this breakpoint hit right here. One of the things I want to look at is this immediate window down here. You can get by that by going to Debug, Windows, Immediate. Of course, you have your locals, which you can keep, and you can also keep your watches here if you feel like it, and that's easy enough to just say add watch, and now you have whatever you want right there. And I'll clear this watch. Now with the immediate window, um, gives you an area to work in, an area to actually type some stuff in. Uh, and it'll actually start doing some compilation. So if I wanted to play around with with this date, for example, and say what is too long date gonna give me, I can easily start going through all these right here without messing with my code. It's still giving me some IntelliSense capabilities, as you saw right there, still giving me some ability to really delve into that code without actually changing any of my code. I can still get into the immediate window and start doing some stuff. You can still actually do things like computation. So if I just wanted to go like what's 4 plus 2, it will do some calculations there for you. So if you're ever in the need to do a quick calc, that's another easy way to do that. But immediate window, between the immediate window and what you get with the quick watch, I think you got a lot of power right there to really view what's in your code. Also, nowadays with some of the hover over capabilities, sometimes people don't even need quick watch if they don't need to do a little bit of extra um, into their code. And I did some stuff in the immediate window just now, but if I wanted to do birthday.toShort date in the quick watch, I could reevaluate this in the quick watch and it should give me what I need as well. There's two different ways to kind of do the same thing. I feel that the immediate window is a little bit more powerful. Quick watch does give you a little bit more UI friendly way to do it. Next thing I wanted to talk about was the breakpoint labeling and breakpoint searching, and that's going to be in your debug windows, and you can get your breakpoints out right here. And I can stop this for that. I don't need to be debugging for this. Um, I've got this breakpoint right here. It'll tell me that it's on line 15. It'll tell me what file it's in. I can easily right click it right here, edit my labels, just add a label to it. One of the great things about this is that if I'm working with other developers on a team, I can label this based off of my work item number from TFS or whatever task management solution you're using. I can say I'm labeling it based off of this because I'm having a problem with this one. Then once it's labeled, I can export that label, save it to that XML file, send it to my other developer friend and say, hey, look, I got this breakpoint, import this breakpoint, hit it for me, let me know what's going on because I really can't figure it out by myself. Um, Next thing, we'll start debugging again real quick, is um, another little fun trick is that this breakpoint right here, if I come to this pin, if I pin that here, now it's pinned out there. You see this little pin right here, I got a birthday line, a birthday value pinned right there. One of the cool things about it is now that I have it, I can open it up, write some comments about it if I need to. But this is the fun one. If I unpin that from the source, now I can just scroll through my classes that I'm debugging and see my value from wherever I am in the class. And I can take this and pin it back. And I'll actually just remove that for now. One of the things about those pins that I just remembered is that they'll actually store the last value. So if I stop this, I should be able to hover over this pin and see the last value that was in there. So if I've stopped debugging, oh wait, I forgot to write down what that value is, you no longer have to do that. You can just pin that right there and it'll keep your last value stored from your last debug session. And now you have a quick, easy way to figure out what those are. I'm going to clear that pin real quick. I wanted to talk about the different types of breakpoints that we have now. I mean, if you right click on a breakpoint, you've got a few different ones. You've got this conditional one. Um, and one of the great things about this conditional one is you can have it fire one if the condition is true and two if the condition has changed. Um, One of the best examples I can give for a great use of a conditional breakpoint is if you're in a looping statement and you know that you've got 10 items in a loop. Well, all of them are working except for number 9. So, if you're at index 8, you can say and if you're in a for loop, for example, you could say when the index is 8, then hit this condition. Hit this conditional breakpoint. And just to show you what uh, the conditional breakpoint can look like, I'm going to do that. You'll see I get a little plus sign over here that says I am doing something. Uh, and it should hit the breakpoint real quick. There's my breakpoint being hit. Now I'll change this again real quick. And notice I'm just using straight syntax like you normally would in your everyday conditionals. And now it's not hitting it because it's always equal to John in this scenario. So I'm going to clear this conditional breakpoint. Of course, we also have the hit count, which can kind of do the same kind of thing that I was talking about. Um, you can filter it based on some scenario. And one of the ones I use more than condition probably is when hit. It allows you to print a message. These are actually called trace points when you're actually doing this, and I'll show you in a second what it looks like on the left hand side. But what we can do is we can actually say print out a value from our code but continue the execution, which is extremely important in some scenarios. We don't want to have to break way deep down in our code sometimes, but we still want to see the output of that. So what we can do here is we can say first name is, and I can actually put my variable from the code inside of curly braces right here. I'll hit OK, and you see this change to a diamond, and now it's considered a trace point. And what that'll do is I'll run this. It'll run completely through. But one of the things that you'll see is, let me actually go and get my output window. I've got first name is John listed in my output window. And like I said earlier, this is extremely important sometimes when you want to save some time in your code, and when you're debugging your code. This should allow you to get deep down into your code, throw a trace point in there, but never actually have to break. Just quickly and easily just spit out that value. One, it gives you a way to see that value. Two, it gives you a way to quickly copy that out if you need to. Uh, so it becomes extremely helpful when you want to spit out a bunch of values, copy them out, save them, or put them on a different file so you can actually look at them on the side of your code. Having them in the output window also acts as that same thing. It's in the output window. Once it's in the output window, it's going to stay there until you clear that. So you can always just come back right here and look at your values there. I'm going to clear this completely. And I think trace points was the last thing I wanted to cover. I think it's a very useful tool. I think Visual Studio has a lot of very useful debugging tools. I hope this gets you on the right path into maybe looking into more of what Visual Studio can give you in the debugging realm. Debugging is a big part of what we do as developers, and Visual Studio definitely can help you. And the stuff that I showed you today is just the tip of the iceberg. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.